Lead us in the pledge. What? Lead us in the pledge.
Okay.
Okay. Good morning. I'd like to welcome you all to the Board of Selectmen meeting. Today is Tuesday, January 20th, 2015. It is now 8:30. The first order of business is the Pledge of Allegiance. I'd like to ask Selectman Tracy to lead us, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Carl. Item 2 is public forum, limited to 3 minutes on any agenda item. Anybody wishing to address the board on any agenda item? Seeing none, we'll move along to item 3, which is the approval of the minutes of January 5th, 2015, which was a regular meeting. Do I have a motion, please?
Second.
Is there a second? All right, any additions or corrections?
Yes, with the indulgence of the board, I made the presentation for the electric charging station to go in back, and as you know, I wasn't prepared. Fred was supposed to be here, and I didn't have all the data in front of me. The approval should have read $8,812.50 for the charger, $6,200 for the installation, with a balance of, I think, $500 done by Public Works and our internal staff. So it changes that number. I think the number that was reflected in the minutes was $10,852, and it should have been $15,1250. Can I make that change?
Do we need to revise any motions that we made or anything?
Oh, we just have to correct the minutes.
Yeah.
Accept the minutes as corrected.
The corrected amount.
Okay. Tracy, do you have that? Yeah, okay. Any other corrections to the minutes? Okay. Can we accept the minutes as corrected? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, okay, thank you. All done. All right, Gary, thanks. Item 4, Finance Director Sheila Villano, 4.1, received a monthly report. Morning, Sheila.
Tracy, I'll give you Fred's memo. Good morning.
Okay, we have a couple of items.
Okay. We are halfway through the year.
Hard to believe.
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll start with revenue. At the end of December, we've collected 64.6% of our revenue that we budgeted, as compared to 60.2% last fiscal year. We're doing just fine in almost all the departments. Tax collections are at 64.8% as compared to 60.6% at the end of last year. We'll get a better feel for where we're going to be, probably more like the end of February. Now we have the second installment coming in. Keeps on the same track, we're in good shape, but I think that we budgeted well, and that, you know, we do collect 99.6% of our taxes and every year, and we're consistent with it, so that's good to have that solid base to count on. All the other departments are really doing fine. You see that we've over collected in Board of Selectmen by $85,000. That's because we had a sale of surplus property. There's several vehicles in there. One of them is the fire truck that we've just talked about moving to a reserve account to offset future capital purchases, including maybe what was requested in the 16 budget, but we're going to discuss that further.
The fire department's just a matter of timing?
Fire department is timing because they are a month behind. I forget the number it's about 43% is exactly, I think, where they should be.
It is, I
Yeah.
checked it out.
Yep. Any questions on revenue? Expenditures. We've obligated 58.9% at the end of December this year, 60.1% last year, so we're ahead in terms of expenditures. The only department I just want to point out at this point, we don't have any real plans to transfer any funds, is legal, 65.1% without any encumbrances. It's basically due to the reval claims and the claims for the bills for labor negotiations that have been basically finished, but we still incurred a little more bills at the beginning of the fiscal year than we anticipated.
Sheila, I have two questions. One is the registrar of voters is running a lot higher than last year this time. If you just look at the summary page, 65.8% versus 44.9 last year. That's my first question.
They went over on the November election expenses. I mean, don't forget that budget is somewhat cyclical, because the $8,000 is expended in November.
Mhm.
That's a big percent of their budget right there. And they went over. They budgeted for $6,000 and they expended $8,600. And that's a good point. I think probably we should look at that to see what they budgeted for fiscal 16, because I would assume that's the cost of one November election for them. Other than that, their part-time poll workers are over by 81%, and that could be related to the November election. So, I mean, I could take a look at that, and perhaps they're under budgeting.
Okay, because we still have at least, and I hope, only one referendum to go through yet before we close out the fiscal year. So my anticipation is that they're going to be over budget by the end of the fiscal year. So if you would take a look at that, I'd appreciate it. Okay,
Yes.
all right.
Does those expenses include the two audits that they had to haul everybody in and go through?
Well, that's very possible. They
Could
might
be.
do that
You might
during
be right,
their
yeah.
presentation of their budget, yeah.
Yeah.
I'll find out.
Because
and
what,
let
they
you
had
know.
35 people or something in here counting every ballot?
Right, and that could be why the poll worker salaries are a little bit higher
Okay,
than.
that's a good point. Yeah. And the other question is...
And you think I'm asleep all the time?
No,
Did he say that?
I didn't say that.
Excuse me. The other question I have in communications, and I don't know if you had a chance to look at this, but under operating supplies, there seems to be a misclassification.
I'll have to look at the,
That doesn't seem to be a correct coding someplace. See what I'm referring to? Yeah.
well, I see that they have a $1,000 budget and they're over by $10,000.
Yeah, something's got to be wrong there.
Sometimes we decide to put charges where they actually belong, so they're in the right place, and another budget line may be under. I'll check on that.
Okay.
That could be the case here, or it could be a miscoding. But there was $2,000 expended in the current month, so it's been going on for,
Yeah, and
so it could be in the right place, and you're gonna see an overage and a surplus, a savings in another line. But I'll look into that for you.
okay, because I will mention though, as far as the total budget communications, they're
At 53.
they're in pretty good shape,
Yeah.
but
Yep.
it just sticks out like a sore thumb, so to speak.
Okay.
Other than that, I'm fine. Okay.
Any other questions?
Not on expense, not from me on expense, no. Okay. Okay.
Take a look at medical.
Yep.
So medical, I made a few minor changes to the projection going forward. We have what we call, what Anthem calls an NAF fee. It's included, it's a network access charge. It's included in the claim number. And it's $292,151, and we've paid that already from July through October. So when I annualize out the first so many months, I don't need to take into consideration that number anymore because we've already paid it. So I backed that out over the next 6 months. And that gave us a little bit better number. And now we're actually showing a surplus for the year of $136,581. $136,000, which is very close considering that it's a $14 million budget. You can see that there were so far almost $2 million in claims that were greater than 50% of our stop loss. And the stop loss has covered $527,000 as of December. There are, I believe, there are 3 claims that exceeded the stop loss, and there's 4 claims that are a few $1,000s away from hitting the stop loss. The chances are they will hit the stop loss in January. So it appears that we made the right decision on the stop loss. We've already covered $527,000.
Good. Any questions from the Finance Director on that? Okay, move on.
That's all I have for the monthly reports. Maybe we could, unless you have questions, we could go on.
Okay, you gave us, you sent us additional correspondence over the weekend regarding, we'll have to make some salary transfers. You want to go over those now?
Yes. I guess they can be taken under 4.1, right?
That's correct.
We have a revised.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, no, Gary's correct on the revised.
Okay, so one of the things that we need to do is transfer salaries that were not considered when we put the fiscal year 15 budget together. They were considered in reserve for personnel and set aside in reserve for personnel, but we didn't have the exact numbers to put in the department's budgets. And so we need to do that for fiscal 15. And there's several. There are, on the second page of my memo, you could see the summary breakdown. We start with the confidential supervisors. Basically, that's just the chief of police and the deputy chief of police position. $7,125. And I'm doing this, in other years, at this time, we probably wouldn't need to do this $7,000 transfer, but the reason I'm doing it is so we have the right basis of comparison when we're looking at the 15 budget versus the 16 budget request. So $7,125 for confidential supervisors, and then other would be part-time positions that are not under the GEA, but that follow the GEA wage scale. That's $16,337. Guilford Supervisors Association, those are the department heads, $24,141. NAGE, which would be the police dispatchers. Now, we've done NAGE already for fiscal 14, fiscal 13. $23,744 would be for fiscal 15. And GEA, this number is for fiscal 15, $242,500. As far as GEA goes, there's also a fiscal 14 component of GEA, but we had reserved money in reserved fund balance for contract settlements at the end of fiscal 14, and that would be for anything that was dating back to 14, and that would have been GEA. And that does not need to be covered through a budget transfer, because that will go right to the reserve account. So the only other transfer that was in fiscal 15, I'll just remind you, was the police. We did that in July, though. That was $243,753. So to recap, we started the year with $595,000 in reserve. We used $243,753 for the police. We now need $242,500 for these transfers, leaving a balance of $108,747. and we still need to keep that for NAGE again, which will be under, contract will be expiring for fiscal 16, so we'll
Right.
keep that for them.
Okay, so you're looking for a motion to transfer $242,500 from reserve for personnel to the various departments as outlined in your schedule.
Yes, I think technically it's a recommendation to the Board of Selectmen for them to approve a transfer.
To the Board of Finance.
Board of Finance,
Right.
yes, sorry.
Okay.
Is it the 242.5 or all of these numbers? The 7,000 plus the 16 plus the 24 plus the 23?
Well, that should be 242.5.
242.5.
Oh, okay.
It adds
Oh,
up
I'm
to-
sorry.
It adds up to.
I'm sorry, I was looking at the GEA thinking
Okay.
that the 242 was the GEA.
I think, you know what, Gary, I think I might have said it. The GEA is 171,151.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
So as per the attached schedule.
Right.
Perfect.
Totaling $242,500, right?
Yes.
Do I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion on the motion? No? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Okay. All right, Sheila, anything else you'd like to
That
bring
number
forward?
differs from that number.
No, I think I'm all set.
Okay, any other questions for the finance director? All right, thank you very much.
Welcome.
Just check. That number differs from that.
Item 5, Town Engineer Jim Portley, 5.1, receive a petition regarding the extension of sidewalks on North Madison Road from Coventry Way to the determination of existing sidewalk that ends at the intersection with Valley Shore Drive, and set a public hearing date for Wednesday, February 11, 2014, at 7:30 p.m. in the Guilford Town Hall in accordance with Section 241-6A of the Town Code. Good morning, Jim.
Good morning. Pretty much just read it out. So, we got the petition.
We got a good clerk, that's why.
Want to walk, but you got to applaud. Want to walk to school. It's about a 700-foot length of sidewalk. It's consistent with our transportation plan, which said that, we would create central places in town where kids can walk or get to by sidewalks. So we had Joe Russo, when he developed the houses on North Madison Road, put a sidewalk in to Valley Shores, which completed the first segment, and then this would be the second segment. So it's a reasonable request, and it's consistent again with our transportation plan, but also with what was, we had the public hearing last year on the sidewalk on State
State
Street.
Street, yeah, okay. So this does require a public hearing as per our town code, so. Okay, so the motion, we need a motion before us to set the public hearing date.
I move that the Board of Selectmen schedule a hearing for the extension of the sidewalk on North Madison Road.
Second.
And we're looking at February 11th?
February 11th at 7:30, this is an evening meeting, would be at Guilford Town Hall in this room. Okay. There was a motion made, and it was seconded. Any discussion on the motion?
Jim, what 700 feet of sidewalk cost?
There'll be some, it's more than just putting a sidewalk in here. There'll be some site work along the way, which we haven't gotten into design yet. So it'd be premature for me. By the night of the public meeting, I'll have that
Okay.
for you.
Okay. Any further discussion on the motion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous, thank you. Jim, 5.2, discuss and take possible action authorizing the town engineer to initiate removal of flashing beacon at the Route 1 Horseshoe Road intersection as a result of feedback from the DOT regarding the Shoreline Greenway Trail Plan. And fill us in on that, please?
Yes. As part of the design of the Shoreline Greenway Trail, we have comments from all the various DOT departments on traffic, to drainage, so forth, and right-of-way that are involved in the construction of the Greenway Trail. One of the issues was that there is a flashing light at the intersection of Horseshoe, on the south side, and Michelle Lane on the north side. It was put in back in the 80s, probably in response to just the putting the new subdivision in that is on the north side of the road. looked into what the costs were associated with redesigning that, because it's DOT policy that if there's an existing flashing light or any kind of signal, you don't just relocate it, you bring it up to date, and you have to meet current standards. Well, between the design and the construction, that brings it in the range of about $50,000 to $55,000 for. So, that being the case, I contacted DOT and said, well, why don't you guys chip in and give us a design, and we'll see if we can include the cost in the actual construction. But through that process, I had a discussion with DOT, and they said, we're not sure you even need it. I said, that's good, why don't we just delete it? So we have to start the process. They won't do it at their own level. They want the town to request the removal of the flashing light. It's not any different than any other intersection we have in town. There's excellent sight lines getting out from both Horseshoe and from Michelle Lane. According to DOT, it doesn't meet their standards for installation of a new flashing light. So I would suggest that if with the Board of Selectmen's approval, we request that it be removed. It would save us a serious amount of money that would go actually towards the Greenway Trail rather than wasted on this construction.
Plus, we actually pay the electricity for it, right?
Plus we do. Yes. I
Second.
don't know what that would cost, but.
Yeah, that's not major, but we have all these nickel-dime expenditures that nobody thinks about, but we pay the power bills for
Yeah.
all of these things.
All these
so-
little lights, yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay,
Nickel and dimes add up too.
they
Yes,
do, they do. I would move that we authorize the engineer to initiate the removal.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Jim, we have one more. for you.
While you're at it, are there any others that ought to be looked at? I mean, if you're doing,
Good question. I know, the other one that's right there is where at the intersection of Route 1 and 146. That's a flashing light, but that's where you're gonna merge.
right.
Yeah, no,
So I
that-
think that's warranted.
That is.
None of the other ones, I don't know if we have any others.
I
We
don't,
used-
you just spend a lot more time on the roads than I
Yeah,
do.
yeah.
If you're driving around, if you're putting in one application, you might want to do two,
Oh.
if there are any others, and I don't know that.
All right. So if you wanna authorize me to do that,
I-
I'll eliminate all the driving licenses before I.
No,
do
I
it.
just think
I love it.
think about doing others while you're doing it, that's all.
And then you'll be giving the police a lot of work, and they will incur a lot of overtime. So,
No, just put
What-
four-way stop signs in. It works really good.
yeah, like people stop all
like
the
it used to
time,
be.
right? Consider and take possible action to award bid 13-1415 for the excavator for public works, subject to the recommendation from the Board of Finance in accordance with the April 9, 2013 bond resolutions.
So 5 bids were received on December 16th. Low bid was for an excavator was from Bobcat of Connecticut for $80,568, but it did not meet the minimum specifications. Didn't have the grading blade that was spec'd, and the actual digging bucket was below standards. We had 3, the second bidder was F&W Equipment for Kubota. We were able to borrow three of the excavators that were bid on to try them out. The Kubota of the 3 was the best machine, and we strongly feel that's the machine to buy, and that was supported by the Public Works Commission for the price of $89,572. So it is recommended the Board of Selectmen approve the purchase of Kubota from F&W Equipment for that amount. It is a change from what was originally in the bond issue. We were going to get a small backhoe to replace the small backhoe we have. The change in equipment and the functionality that is provided by this mini excavator is really more in line with what we need. We have a large excavator for big jobs. This is perfect for those small jobs that we will work on, and it's a savings right there. I think we appropriate $125,000. We're talking about $35,000 less costly a piece of equipment.
Jim, what were the options?
I didn't-
Which you didn't recommend.
The options of.
Each of the bids has an option.
Oh, that was a hydraulic hammer to, break up rock. after talking to the manufacturers. You can have the, you can buy that as an attachment. The problem is it's because it is a mini excavator, it really isn't set up to take that pounding. And, you know, the long term, you might have more destruction equipment than you gain and be able to remove the rocks. And we decided to waive that.
Okay.
That option.
Jim, what was the thinking when you originally put into the capital plan the larger piece of equipment?
That goes back to John Volpe, and it was just kind of a one-for-one replacement. We had this John Deere 410 backhoe, and it needed to be updated, and because that's kind of outlived its useful life. So, and just like in past years, that was the thinking. But now that these mini excavators have become more prominent in usage, we think they're more practical from our perspective. And what we tried to do is look at not only this piece of equipment, there's two pieces of equipment that almost every excavation contractor has now. One is an excavator, a mini excavator like this, as well as a large one. We have a large one and it's working fairly well. The other piece was a skid steer. We were trying to get to the point where if we get a mini excavator, we're trying to put money together to justify the purchase of a skid steer. We saw the value of that back when we had the blizzard. It was great we hired a bunch of guys with skid steers to open up some of the roads. They're like small loaders, but they're very effective on small excavation jobs like we do on drainage along the side of roads. They don't take up as much room, and they have more than enough lifting capacity to help set up catch bases and that kind of thing. So that was the thought process. We thought we'd buy this, and now we will take the 410 John Deere, and we'll work to transfer that to the transfer station. We've been using it. We've been under equipped for well over a year now. The John Deere backhoe that was over there for loading all the waste, we've been using our 410. You know, it's kind of cut into our operations. So, as consistent with past policy, we would work out a value of that and then charge that to the transfer station. Then Madison and Guilford can share that cost and getting it back to the Public Works Department, which we then would, with this $35,000 extra, they would be able to buy a skid steer.
Okay, good. Thank you.
They're gonna be very happy, because every time I get out there to the transfer station, someone says, can't we get a new piece of equipment?
well-
Or newer?
Yeah. The John Deere, the big one we had there, just, I mean, the floor rotted out, the thing is
Yeah,
shot.
yeah.
Okay.
One last time, if you may, it came up,
Wait, don't you need
We need a
didn't finish this yet.
okay,
to-
oh, I'm
okay.
sorry.
I would move that we approve the purchase of the Kubota from F&W Equipment for the sum of $89,562 under bid number 13-1415.
I think the number's 572.
Oh, what did I, okay, what,
Okay. You said 562.
no,
Okay.
okay.
Second.
We shorted him $10.
Hold it, Jim, I got $10.
I'm not, I think you're fine.
Okay, that motion was made and seconded. Is there any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, I'll call for a vote. All those in favor? Aye. Unanimous.
I think we would have
Thank
got
you,
for
Jim.
560.
Yeah, Jim said he could have negotiated down $10.
$10, I'm sure they would.
I'm sure Jim would have been able to. Jim, you have something else to bring?
Yeah, Friday I had a meeting with the developers, DDR and Department of Transportation, Cloud Lily, regarding the construction on Route 1 that is necessary to improve the sight lines for the new development. You've all been out on Route 1, and you've probably seen that new pavement that's installed on the east side of the road. That's about 3 to 4 feet lower than where the existing pavement was. They had to lower that pavement, and they will have to lower it on the other side too for sight lines, so that people coming up from exit 57 can see the entrance, and it'll meet DOT standards. Well, to do that, we had a discussion on how we will transition from one pavement to the other and still maintain access to the transfer station. The original proposal was that they would just have a driveway come down from our existing driveway into the new driveway, into the new roadway excavation, but the percentage of grade on that driveway would be about 13 to 14%, which would be disastrous, especially in the wintertime. So they will have to work that plan out, and they're in the process of doing that. But temporarily, sometime in later winter, they would like to begin work on the higher section now. They've been stymied by the fact that the gas company will not let them lower that gas main during the winter. It's the main supply line for Old Saybrook in that area out there, the 12-inch gas main. So the gas company doesn't even want to think about having any interruption during the heating season for that gas main, so they put them off. But there's a lot of work that's necessary to prepare the roadway for lowering, specifically some blasting that's almost right in front of where the existing entrance to the transfer station is. So what we had discussed with them was to give them a temporary driveway on the south side of the entrance to the transfer station. If you're familiar with it, I have a plan here that you can take a look at, where we normally stack the trailers that are full that's this area here that's shaded. This area over here, I just got this plan this morning. I wouldn't call it. Microphone, please. Thank you. This is the existing driveway into the transfer station. What they would like to do, and I think makes sense, is construct a temporary driveway to the southeast of that driveway where we stack the trailers now. They would be able to construct that from the transfer station side, and while they're getting everything else ready. But they would want to have that so then they can transfer the traffic from where the existing roadway is.
How far east would you be going to?
It's probably
From the existing driveway?
about 200 feet, it's not very
Okay.
far.
All right.
And it would make sense to do this and have this transition occur. They've also requested that we consider allowing closure of the transfer station for a couple of days. And I said, well, I think if we do that while it's still winter, it could be accommodated. We could take and schedule that for
Not even that.
sometime maybe beginning or middle of March, as long as we gave people plenty of notice. They would work Sunday, obviously Monday, Tuesday, which we would close on, then Wednesday, which we're closed anyway, and then open again on Thursday. So we'd have regular Saturday operations, and then we wouldn't open again till Thursday. I said I would bring it to the Board of Selectmen for consideration. I thought with enough planning and pre-advertising that we could probably accommodate them. And I think it would make much more sense than trying to keep the roadway open and the transfer station open. There's a lot of activities that have to be done out there, including installation of some guardrails as well as the new pavement and so forth. So this is an area here, by the time the roadway, they get to this point, the roadway is about the same level as one or the other, so it's a fairly easy transition. And then that would be left. They would come back and reconstruct the entrance at a later date when the roadway is removed, and they'd have to lower the entrance to our transfer station. So they will need, I've told them we need their insurances, they need an easement from the Board of Selectmen to do this work, which they will pursue.
Is the whole road gonna be shut down in that area?
No, temporarily, there would be, they would still maintain traffic on Route
Okay.
1, yes.
Because they can do the work from the inside
That's right.
Yeah.
out,
Yes,
not
yeah.
out in
They
the
would
road.
just transition over, use
So-
this road, the other roadway.
When this is all done, we'll have the current entrance
Yes,
back again.
yes, yeah, we want to do that, we want to keep that, because
Okay.
it makes better sense for the traffic flow, but if we could, for a very short time, allow this, it would make their lives easier, and I think it makes a lot of sense to me. But we need to go back to the original entrance for the general flow of the traffic. We would leave, then we would just maybe gate off the other entrance, keep it there, we wouldn't take it out, we'd just gated off so it wasn't used, but be there for the future if we ever needed it.
So what's going to be the level of the road? Because that's what.
The level of the
people have been asking all
road
of us.
at the entrance, our entrance is, I think it was 3 foot lower than the existing pavement. And I think that at the high point where there's a difference, it's almost 4 feet. So they have to lower the gas main by 4 feet. And there's also a communications duct that is under the shoulder of Route 1 that is very sensitive. Frontier is, well, it was AT&T until, very recently. That was a highly sensitive duct bank, so there's gonna be a lot of time consumed in not only blasting, but also lowering that duct bank.
So we don't have a definite timetable of this yet, no?
No, I've asked them for that. They had, Friday, they had talked about trying to do this during the winter, and then I guess there were discussions over the weekend. I just met with the engineer from BNL this morning. They're trying to push it back until March, because they were talking about actually building the new apron driveway entry out of concrete and putting blankets to keep help the concrete cure properly, or bringing up asphalt from Westchester County. That's the closest place where there's an asphalt plant that's open during the winter. And there's a pretty good cost associated with both those options. So what they would like to do is maybe push it off until, as I said, to March sometime. So they haven't come up with a schedule themselves, but I thought it would be worthwhile to bring it up this morning, see if there was any concern on the part of the Board of Selectmen. I think it's going to be some logistics involved in getting this all together. But I think the sooner we discuss it, the better. They can get their paperwork in the process. They'll need an excavation permit. They'll need an easement to work on our property. We'll want their insurances and so forth.
Jim.
Yeah, I just wanted clarity on the easement piece. So it's a temporary construction easement?
It'd be a temporary construction easement. And it would be to build this alternate driveway entrance, but it would also be another temporary easement to reconstruct our entrance, where the existing entrance is.
I'm just pausing at, normally with easements, permanent easements, we have the town meeting requirement under our charter, so I just have
No,
to
this-
think about the temporary construction easement. I don't think it would rise to that.
No, I wouldn't think so. That's not, no, it's not gonna be a permanent facility.
Okay.
If we have to shut down for 2 or 3 days, is there any possibility that we could get some cooperation from Branford to?
I'm sure we can.
Yeah.
We've cooperated with them in the past
Yeah.
when they've had
I'm
issues.
sure we can work that out.
Yeah, I don't think that's a big deal. The fact that we no longer have commercial haulers coming in makes it a lot easier for us. It's really just homeowners and contractors. I think we can work that out.
How much of a disturbance would this be for our residents then? And then we gotta get DOT, I'm sure, is involved. It's their road.
Yeah. Once the alternate driveway is installed, and we will make sure they have sufficient signs to direct our residents' use, I don't see it be that much of a disturbance. The traffic pattern on site will alter a little bit, but it's certainly something that can be accommodated. I think probably the biggest problem would be on Saturdays. We'd have to look at making sure that, because there's a pretty good flow of traffic on Saturdays, and since we've been using the charge cards rather than cash, it's slowed down the turnover rate on Saturdays. But we'll just have to work through it. I think it's.
And you say it's approximately shut down for 3 days.
Oh, yeah, there's just the station itself.
Yeah.
That driveway will probably be used, I think, but to relocate the gas main and the communications duct, it'll probably be a couple of months that we'll be utilizing that. But the shutdown will only take a couple of days.
Yeah, I'm anticipating the disturbance on Route 1 is gonna be a couple of months. You're right.
Yeah, but once they transition over, they have the pavement all in place.
Yeah.
You won't even know it, really.
So we still have the 2 lanes?
Yeah.
Okay. It's there, I know that, yeah, it's there already, okay. Okay, any other questions, Jim? Anything else you
Do
want
we
to
have to
add?
approve it, or you just?
No, I'm
No,
just bringing for
no,
your
just
information.
information.
I think it's a
Yeah.
matter now of, unless you have some objection, we would just wait for them to come up with fuller details and come up with a schedule, and then I'd bring it back to you.
Okay,
Long-term, is there any merit to using both driveways, going in one way and out the other?
I'd thought about that, but that's, that's the area where we do stack our trailers.
Okay, yeah. You don't have,
We could look at it, but I don't
it
think
becomes
so.
you're saying it becomes a storage problem, but
Yeah, then we get the trailers
Yeah.
stuff someplace else.
look at it. Put your creative mind to work.
Okay.
thank you, Jim.
Thank you.
Okay, item 6, town planner, 6.1, consider and take action on award of an RFQ/RFP 1-1415, Housing for Economic Development Plan Consultant. Good morning, George.
Morning.
How you doing?
Good. As my memo to you states, on January 6th, the Housing for Economic Development Committee, after reviewing the 2 proposals we received, is recommending that you authorize the first selectman to enter into contract with Waldo and Associates, LLC, to perform the work required for this project. As you may recall, this is a grant that we received from the DECD to prepare this plan and hopefully facilitate some affordable housing development pursuant thereto. We've received 2 proposals, as I mentioned, Waldo and Associates, along with Malone and McBroom. Both firms are eminently qualified, but the committee felt that Waldo and Associates would do a better job, and therefore they're recommending that firm to you.
Briefly, George, what does the plan ask for?
The plan requires that we review property that's accessible to public transit. This is part of the DECD grant requirement to assess potential sites for feasibility to develop affordable housing, primarily looking at issues related to sewage disposal feasibility for multifamily housing development. So the primary qualification that we're looking for with the consultant is experience with multifamily housing sewage disposal system designs and knowledge of Guilford physical conditions that would be related to feasibility assessment of sewage disposal system designs. Along with that, we also have some real estate market analysis that's part of this project, some limited architectural design services related to design criteria that we would create for new development, and zoning, developing and potentially developing some new zoning regulations that would relate to this. But the primary area of expertise we're looking to retain is the sewage disposal feasibility capabilities. Rob Sonicson, who's the principal with Waldo and Associates, would be the carrying most of the load in that regard. On this project, he'll be assisted by Stanley Nestowski, who's a real estate consultant, and also by East Wharf Architects from Madison. They'll be providing some limited contribution to this project in the area of architectural design.
Now, when you say sewage, you mean, in our case, septic?
Right.
Okay.
Yes, correct. I know some questions have been asked about why can we do this ourselves?
Right.
Like can or can't?
Why can't we do this
Yes,
ourselves?
okay.
We would have to get permission from the granting agency to modify our proposal and the grant contract. If we were to propose that, they might ask the question, why do you need the money if you can do it yourself? Which would not be an unfair question.
Well, then what would the money be used for? Yeah.
But more importantly, I think, is the fact that we really don't have the capability that Rob Sonicson has. Dennis Johnson has lots of experience with sewage disposal system plan reviews, but he's not an engineer. There's also the question of how much time does he have to actually work on this project. We don't have the engineering capability. We don't have the real estate person, although on the committee we have a real estate person. They're not retained in the project. We also have some architectural assistance on the part of the committee, but we're not paying for that service. So I think it's eminently reasonable that we retain outside services for this. It'll move the project forward quickly, and I think it's a wise investment for us to make.
Now, we would be looking at, or they would be looking at a particular area of town.
We've identified the study areas, basically Route 1, where there's public access, where there's public transit access, and also the town center area where there's access to the train station. That's a requirement of the grantor, that we look at sites that are quote-unquote accessible to public transit.
So Town Center South.
Town Center South
Okay.
and Route 1. And also, part of the analysis is also what properties are available, and what kind, and this is where the real estate person comes in, what kind of values are we talking about associated with those properties. But the most important thing, I think, is the sewage disposal feasibility analysis.
Would they piggyback onto what we did with, on the Pages Lane Phase 1
They
project?
could, yes, absolutely. I think, we are, as we've discussed many times, especially with Route 1 West, our study project there, we are reasonably anticipating that Route 1 West is going to be an area of concentration, because there is undeveloped land on Route 1 West. It does have public transit. By most other planning criteria, it's an area that's suitable for multifamily housing development. There's already private sector multifamily housing development going on there. There's projects proposed and approved but not yet built. There's projects under construction. So it reinforces the idea of this plan, in my opinion at least, reinforces some of the thinking that we're already doing with regard to Route 1 West. So I think that is an area of concentration. We do have a resident of Route 1 West and another property owner, developer property owner of Route 1 West area on the committee. So we're sort of anticipating that possibility, but we're not precluding the other areas either. But it is a limited budget, so we do have to develop some priorities for what we're concerned about, or most interested in.
Now, if I remember correctly, the grant was $30,000?
20.
20. So I didn't remember correctly. So this is
Waldo's proposal is for $19,000.
19,000, and
Correct.
the other one is 20, so it's within the grant.
Yes.
Obviously.
Mhm.
Okay.
So you need a motion then that the Board of Selectmen authorizes the first selectman to enter into a contract with Waldo and Associates LLC to perform the described work for the cost of the bid of $19,000.
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded. Is there any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, I'll call for a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Your schedule, George, how long will this take?
We said 6 months in the grant. We're starting next week.
Thank you, George. Item 7, Green Committee Chairman, Stephen Page. 7.1, receive and recommend changes to the sign on the green policy and application. Morning, Steve.
Good morning.
Jerry.
Good morning.
Good morning. Jerry Siebert is also at the table, too.
We had,
Gentlemen,
pardon me?
gentlemen, go ahead.
Thank you. We had sent, I think, everyone at least kind of a doctored up idea as to what we wanted to try to do. And the reason for this is that we're trying to clean up the clutter on the north end of the green with the signs and try to get some sort of control as to how they're placed and when they're placed. So the committee has come up with these suggestions that we'd like to submit to the Board of Selectmen for their review and possible and hopefully action. So I can go over them, or if you have any questions on them, what is the easiest way for?
I think for the benefit of the public, would you
Okay.
summarize
All right.
what's in front of us?
Page 1, from page 1 new to page 1 old, requested changes. Item 1 would be add a revised date. That would be the revised date as to whenever you revise this to go into the policy regarding the signs on the green. 1A would be to change the wording from 3 weeks to 4 weeks, so that we would like to sign requests to come in 4 weeks ahead prior to when they want it rather than 3 weeks. That would be our suggestion. 2 would be change and add the $50 fee. It would be 2 checks payable to the town of Guilford. $25 would be refunded upon removal and a return of the town-supplied sandwich board and sticker and the allotted time frame. Item 3 would be add a sign placement sticker must be displayed on the lower right-hand corner of your sign. Failure to display the sticker will be cause for removal of your sign, and kind of have a little mock-up here of what the sign would look like. It would be, you see that? It would be,
Can I just, why would you need that? And I'm just asking, not that I'm.
the idea of having that would be so that people on the Green Committee or other people would know that this sign has been approved.
Okay.
And it's been approved by the Board of
So the
Selectmen.
question is, there's people that are abusing the privilege
Right. There are signs that show up
that haven't
that
gotten.
we have no idea where they
That
come from.
haven't even come before us.
Right, haven't come before the Board of Selectmen, or they're just,
No,
someone
no,
hanging,
that's why I wanted to see.
right,
it.
hanging windows or, fixing
Yeah.
doors and that kind of thing,
Yeah.
so.
It also has a date of removal on there, so
Right.
you know when the sign is
Right.
overdue.
Would also allow the people on the committee to monitor this. I go by that section, quite frequently, so just, you see a sign, you think it's a rogue sign, you can get out and check it.
Okay.
Number 4 would be change and add. If a sign remains 2 weeks after the event's conclusion, the town will remove the sign and the $25 refundable portion of the fee would be forfeited. And we want to hold the people that have the signs accountable to, putting them up and then taking them down in the allotted time frame. There have been instances when some signs have been up there 2 and 3 months at a time. 5 would be...
Can I stop you there
Sure.
for a second? Some of your stuff refers to 2 days. The second page, if a sign remains 2 days,
Right, well,
are you gonna change it?
No, we're not going to change that. We're going to say that you should have it out 2 days, but if it's after 2 weeks, then we're giving the people that put the signs up there a little grace period. As we're not coming down as the hard and the fast. We're giving them time to get the sign off. If after 2 weeks it hasn't come off, it's our suggestion that we keep the $25 and we will remove the sign.
Yeah, that's reasonable.
We're not trying to make it unreasonable for people to put the signs up there, but fair for everyone that is going, filling out the permit and following the rules, so that everybody plays by the same.
2 weeks is very generous
Okay.
for an event that's happened.
Well,
You
that was
guys
our
spent some
suggestion.
time
That was
thinking
our
it through,
suggestion.
but,
So if you folks say, change it back to 2 days, that's great. We'll change it back to 2 days, or you can change it
Well,
to...
if it's already happened, I mean,
Pardon me?
if it's already happened,
What?
having the sign,
Right.
doesn't really benefit.
Right,
Well,
but I guess our feeling in the discussion on the committee was we want to try to be accommodating to folks that, in my talking with Joe, to be accommodating to people that put the signs out there. So, we don't have any problem with changing it back to 2 days. There's no problem with that. That can easily be done. So if it's, your suggestion that we do that, then that would be great. That would make it easier for us. 2 weeks is generous. You're right.
I might suggest maybe 3 or 4, just because if you have an event, say on a Friday, then the 2 days is Sunday, you might want to go to Monday, Tuesday, but
Okay.
2 weeks sounds like clutter to me.
Well, I guess, we're presenting it to you,
Right.
the board, and then you
Yeah.
would make the ultimate decision as to what you do. So if you change it to a week, that's great for us, so that'd be fine.
Yeah.
Page 2, new to page 2 old. We're going to add that we would like to have one of these permits forwarded to whoever the chairperson might be of the Guilford Green Committee. so we're kind of kept in the loop a little bit better as to who's requesting for signs. Adding cell phone numbers, just seems to be the way to be able to get a hold of people today is with cell phone numbers. Item 3 would be adding a line for services/products, yes or no, and then admissions, yes or no, so we can kind of break it down. Are they charging for admissions? Are they charging for services and products, or both? And 4, consistent with what we talked about before, would be adding a $50 fee, 2 checks payable to the town of Guilford again. $25 would be refunded upon removal of the sign in the given time frame, return of the sticker, and/or return of the town-supplied sandwich board in the allotted time frame. And we came up with just a little bit on that $50. We first talked about getting one lump sum of $50. I came down and talked to Joe and talked to the people in the office that have to administer this. We felt it'd be a lot easier if we just got a folder and just had 2 checks. They bring the sign back, they get their check or their sticker, and they get their refundable portion of it back. If they don't, then we deposit that check. And then 5 would be add upon acceptance of your application, they will receive a sign placement sticker that must be placed in the lower right-hand corner of your sign. Failure to display the sticker will be cause for removal of your sign. And we talked about that. 6 would be add and sticker and sandwich board returned to the selectman's office. So they have to come back to the selectman's office with the sticker and/or the sandwich board to get the $25 back. 7 would be to add the $25 refundable portion of the fee forfeited. And we had one other item, right, Jerry?
Right, and I guess all of you know that the Guilford Green now is non-toxic. In other words, it's not treated with toxic lawn pesticides, and I know that people appreciate that very much. But also, it needs maintenance in order to keep it looking good and the turf thick and so on and so forth, as well as beautification. So we wondered if we could, the fees collected for the signs that go on the Guilford Green could go into Guilford Green account. So we could use that for beautification and maintenance of the green and improvements of the green.
But
I think it does, doesn't it? It's
You
supposed to
know,
at least.
Finance director here? No. Okay. I believe Park and Rec comes into their account.
I was gonna say, but who would
Because
do
they
the work
pay
if
for it.
Parks and Rec
Park and
does
Rec
it?
does
Then
it,
are you looking
yeah.
to hire separate contractors to do it?
No.
or-
No.
So if it's Park and Rec, why?
Well, when we
don't charge
get
them,
our
so they don't
income
know that.
statement, we show income coming from signs placed on the green.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. But I think, I believe that the fertilizer, excuse me, Jerry, for saying fertilizer, but you know what I'm talking about.
Oh, yeah, fertilizer's fine.
And the seeding all is charged to the Park and Rec Department's budget, so.
That money?
Maybe, I have to check on that. I don't,
Well, I know the Park and Rec doesn't have a line item for the green.
no, it's all,
It's all
it's all
put
mixed in together, but,
You know.
well, let me check on that for you, okay, before I make any commitments.
Right.
Okay.
And also, unfortunately, the green isn't quite the highest priority because they're taking care of athletic fields and all that
I
kind of
take care of everything, yeah.
and everything. So, we'd like to have some money so we can really make the green, which is one of the centerpieces of Guilford,
I mean,
really look nice.
Rick Maynard would be delighted if he didn't have to spend his money on the green, and we can use the fees from what you collect for signage and use of the green. So just let me
But how
look
much
at
do you
that.
think you collect a year, Joe?
I don't know, I'll have to check with
I
the
mean,
finance
is
director.
that
I
it?
must have missed that, okay. And I did miss one thing, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Thank you, Gary. Page 1 new to page 1 old, it would be changed from 4 signs to 6 signs.
Sorry?
I missed one item.
Yeah.
From page 1 new to page 1 old, we would change the wording to be from 4 signs to 6 signs.
6 signs, okay.
Now it's 4, and it's never 4 anyway, so might as well just try to make it 6 and see if we can keep it at 6.
Is it ever more than 6?
Pardon me?
Is it?
There have been times when there have been more than 6.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Legal?
Pardon me?
Legal signs more than 6?
Well, it's kind of hard to tell
I don't know,
sometimes.
yeah.
Right.
And
We approve them, so.
we are,
Yeah.
we as a Green Committee are more than willing to to, police this, but we need some way to know that we don't take a sign down that, you've approved, and then, you're gonna get the phone call, where's the sign? And then Rick's gonna get the phone call, and then I'm gonna get a phone call, where's this sign? Well, I don't know, Rick. Let me see if I can find it, type of thing. So, we would like to request that, you consider this as the Board of Selectmen and, come up with your approval, we hope, and then we can go forward with it.
Okay.
So the $50 fee is charged no matter whether you're profit, nonprofit, or anybody, it doesn't matter.
That's something that I guess has become upon your discretion as the board as to who gets charged and who doesn't. And that's a question that we have on the Green Committee also. It's a very good question.
Maybe there could be a process for waiver.
Well, I think you do that as
Okay.
the board. I think that, is that right?
Yeah, well, if they're charging for products or services, they're charged the $25 fee
Okay.
currently. If
Yeah.
it's a free event,
Okay.
or it's just for registration or something like that,
All right.
they
We
would
don't
not
charge
the
for that.
Because I'm thinking like the Guilford Cleanup Day, it's really
Right.
They wouldn't be
done.
charged.
No, it
Yeah.
wouldn't.
Okay.
Right. No. But they still would have to
But
pay
they
the
still-
$25 non-refundable, the deposit.
Deposit, yeah.
Whether they're doing it for free or not, they still have to,
Right.
because
Abide by
the
the
whole
rule.
idea of the deposit is to get the signs on and get the signs off.
Yeah.
And most people, do that, but there are a few people that don't. And also, if we don't use the sticker, then we as the Green Committee have no idea
Correct.
as to, because when I go by there or anyone of our committee goes by, they don't see a sticker, they can pull the sign, bring it and put it by the town hall.
Okay.
Just trying to clean it up really and make it easier for everyone to participate.
Okay, well, what I'd like to do is put this on the agenda for our next meeting after the board has had a time to review it, and we can discuss it at our next meeting and possibly take some action on it. Unless the board
And if
needs more
anybody else
time.
wants to review it, like, that'll help.
I think the whole thing makes sense, except for the 2 weeks. I think that's
Well,
overly generous.
can think about that.
Particularly since that becomes clutter. If the
Plus-
event's
Well,
over,
okay, so what happens if you don't remove it? Then,
you don't get your
you don't
25
get the
bucks.
25.
Okay.
We'll remove it.
They'll remove it.
The Green Committee someone from the Green Committee will move it, they'll bring it and put it behind the town hall. That's what we've been doing. And then the $25 fee would be deposited, to the town of Guilford.
okay.
Okay, so, Trace will put that on the agenda for next meeting.
Would you like one of us to come to that meeting?
Yes, okay. And we'll notify the
Again,
Green Committee. And-
Two?
And we can put it down for discussion and possible action.
Oh, yeah? Yeah, how does that work? I get myself like number 1 on the agenda? That was his suggestion. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
All right, you're welcome.
Good work.
Okay, thanks.
Item 8, discuss and take possible action on the proclamation declaring the month of January as Mentoring Month. We have the proclamation in front of us. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
And please don't leave without signing it. All those in favor?
Aye.
Now, don't leave without signing it.
We have to sign the notice for the,
And the town meeting, the public hearing, excuse me. That's right. Okay, item 9, request for the use of town property. I should add this first. 9.1 to 9.4.
I would move that we approve the 2 uses and 3 signs as delineated in the agenda.
And this is under the old policy.
Second.
The old policy.
Okay, motion is made and seconded. All those in favor? Aye. Thank you. Item 10, 10.1, Public Works Monthly Report, and 10.2, the Building Officials Monthly Report. Any questions, comments?
Thank you for getting the line added back to the building department's report,
We
so
have
we
to-
have the comparison from
Well,
last.
we can thank the building department for that. Yeah, they did hear our request, okay? All right, item 11, old business. I don't have any to bring before the board. Jack, thank you for the article on the trash. I appreciate it. The only thing I think I might have made an error. I meant exit 57, you wrote 59, but, okay, so, but somehow we got miscommunication there, but that's okay.
Although, Joe, I went on 59 yesterday, and there were two large banks
No,
on the side of the
so
road.
59 was fine, then, okay. It just doesn't stop.
No.
Item 12, new business, you have anything, new business, anybody? No? Okay. You want to, you don't have a date for trash pickup day yet, do you?
Cleanup day?
Yeah.
Almost.
Okay.
Next meeting.
Okay. Item 13, public forum, limited to 3 minutes on any item. I don't see anybody here, okay. I don't have anything else to bring before the board. Does anybody? Okay.
I would move we adjourn.
Okay. Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
We're adjourned at 9:35. Thank you, everyone. Don't go, we have to talk about our workshop.